بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين وبه نستعين. والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا رحمة للعالمين أبي القاسم محمد
اللهم صل على محمد.
والصلاة والسلام على أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة بن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها قليلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على
محمد.
All praise and glory belongs to Allah, the one who has given us the blessing of the Imam of the time. When you pray, the best prayer is the safety and the protection, the well-being of the Imam of the time. Because with his safety, with his well-being, our well-being is connected. So the one dua that will give you everything that you desire, or it will make sense of everything that you've been wanting to have, make sense of. Or if you've been living trying to figure out what the truth is, and you want to know with conviction what the truth is. Or of all of the difficulties that you face in life and you want to see an end, which is the best of ends, that your Auckland is bakhair. You want to have things that are illusion or deception, and you want to get to what is actually real. All of those things are related to the advent of the Imam of the time. Without him, all of these things are not going to be there. If they are there, they're incomplete. If they are there, they are broken. If they are there, they might be faster. So when you do pray in these nights and there's only few left, and you want things for yourself, whatever that you want for yourself, everything will be given to you if you were to pray for the Imam of the time. Because everything we receive is through him. And the most mustarib of all human beings right now is the Imam of the time. According to the sixth Imam, that when we recite Yujib, the mistaq of the one that is the most in istirab is the Imam of the time. If you ever feel that life is difficult or life is hard or you're in difficulty, you have hardships, you feel down or you've lost something or you are sick and in that you're distorted, there is one being who is more distorted and is surrounding, that is the Imam. None of our difficulties, none of our problems are as big as the problems that Imam has to face on daily and hourly and every moment of his life. We live 70, 80 years. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls us, we go back. All of these things that we were involved with in this life, all the pains and hardships, they finish. If someone is ill, death is the best cure. All of those illnesses are gone. For the Imam, for the last almost 1200 years, he has to suffer. There's no end to that. And the only way it is going to end is when he can do the apparent announcement of his, where things will go in a domino effect, where the purpose and for what religion has come will reach its heights. Human beings will reach its heights in everything. in knowledge, in faith, in conviction, everything, in happiness, anything that you can think of, you will have the height of that. For example, knowledge-wise, we only have two parts of knowledge that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to us. Access. There's only two parts. With all of the technological advancements, only two parts. When the Imam comes, 25 parts will be given to human beings as accessible. If you think about that, it cannot happen without the Imam. You being able to reach to the status that you are here for as a representative of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cannot happen to its fullest capacity or potential without the Imam. When you feel that you are getting somewhere, the way this facilitation of environment is from Shaitan, it pulls you back. Then you have to struggle again. You have to get up again. Right? You fall, you have to get up again. And this whole thing continues. When the Imam comes, it won't be falling back, it won't be falling down. You continuously keep elevating yourself to different potentials that we didn't even recognize we had. The social justice that you will see, there will be no one whose right is going to be taken. Everyone's right is going to be given. When you see that world in traditions, it sounds even better than heaven. Like Shaitan, Iblis, Haris will be gone. No more of his waswasa. No more of him telling you or kidnapping. Imagine, for 30 days we were protected from that. How you felt. Right? Imagine now you'll be able to feel like that 11, 12 months of the year. Because as soon as Eid comes, shayateen are going to be released, and then we'll go back to the same loops of thoughts, and same waswasa, same whispers, same everything. Right? So when you are praying, pray for the Imam, because it has the solution for everything. You will get everything. Right? If you're going to recite it out. Since the thought has already come to my mind about homework, we'll take that up. Yesterday, I was reminded that we did not take up the homework. So that was good for some people because they had one extra day to do it. So I could have you raise your hand if you've done it, or you can recite salawat if you've done it, and the ones who haven't done it, just go like that. They can go like that, so that no one is exposed. But so let's see. The ones who have done homework, loud salawat. The ones no homework, in their heart, so that we can I can see, but no one else will be able to see, right? So it's okay if I see, but not everybody else. Okay. Bismillah. Okay. So some of you didn't do it. The reason why I gave you that is to start looking at Quran differently. Right? And I'm sure the ones who have done it, things have opened up for you. A concept of forgiveness has opened up for you. The concept of charity has opened up for you. The concept of reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has opened up for you. Because when you do that way, the search in the Holy Quran, as far as the topics are concerned, you will get all the verses, direct or indirect, depending on your prompt. You will get that, and then you can look at that, and just the pure translation, without even looking at the tafsir of the Holy Quran. Just the pure translation, it will give you a perspective that you did not have before. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the way He's designed it, He's got one verse of tawakkul, let's say here, then He has another verse of tawakkul here, then another verse of tawakkul there. So when you're reading the verses of the Quran, if the 3 verses you will not get to, right? Unless you go through the whole Quran. So this way, when you do the search, you have all of the verses everywhere, they come together, and then you can just look at the meaning, and you get a different perspective. And you have a deeper understanding. And that understanding that you will get by reciting the Holy Quran, or understanding the meaning of the Holy Quran, will touch your heart. It will touch your heart, not just the mind, it will touch your heart. Because you will know that that is the truth. You will know that this is what the most authentic, the only authentic text that we have is the Holy Quran. The rest of the traditions can be go through the authentication process, right? But you know that the Holy Quran is the truth. And you don't have to, like for example, if I speak, you can doubt that, whether I'm saying the truth or not. You can smile at me, you can walk out from the speech, you can keep talking, you can do all of this stuff. But with the Holy Quran, you know that this is the word of God. You know this is the word of Allah. You can't escape it. That's the way it is. There's no doubt. But with lectures and speakers, you can't. With some traditions, you might say, okay, it might be true, might not be true. But with the Holy Quran, it doesn't. So it actually touches your heart and gives you conviction. Here we go. Now the other perspective, because once your perspective changes, your reality changes. What we've been trying to do is give you a different perspective of looking at the Holy Quran. Because once your perspective changes, what happens? Your reality changes. When your reality changes, now you see different benefits that you did not see before. And out of those benefits, you will choose the one that is the most beneficial. And when you choose the one that is the most beneficial, then you will have the same amount of motivation. And once you have the same amount of motivation, compared to the benefit of that, then you will be able to make your will, your irada, your intention. Remember, these were the 4 steps. It's the sabur first, of faida, of the sabur of benefit. Then you do tasdeeq of faida, of benefit. Then you have shauq-e-muakkad, you have this intense amount of motivation. And then you do the irada. So these are the 4 steps. Now if you want to make a different intention, what do we have to do instead? We have to change the perspective first. Once we change the perspective, then you see different benefits. Then out of different benefits, you'll find the one that is the most beneficial for you, that will take care of your need. And then that way, your motivation now changes. And then you're able to make a different intention or irada. You see? Otherwise, doing the same thing over and over again, they say that that's the rule of insanity. That you do the same thing over and over again, where you expect that a different result's going to come out. If after 40 years of doing the same thing over and over again, no different effect has come, you can do it another 40 years and it's the same effect. Right? So that was the reason why we started to look at different perspectives or looking at the Quran differently. Okay? I'm not taking your test on that. We could in the end, but I wasn't able to deliver all of the 30 perspectives, but the ones that I've given to you, utilize those and start looking at the Quran differently now. Yeah? That would be the whole reason why, probably the best reason why we came together and spent all of this time, and you have to suffer listening to my voice that is hard to come out, a monotone, and after iftari, sleep and all that. Yeah? So the new perspective to look at the Holy Quran is that Quran is the book of Tawalla and Tabarra. Quran is the book of Tawalla and Tabarra. The 6th Imam has said that in the Holy Quran, if anywhere Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is speaking to Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu, and after that there is some praise or description of the level and status of the people who believe, the sixth Imam says it's about us. That the first people that are of the believers, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is praising, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling you the status of someone who believes, or is giving you characteristics, Imam says that first people is us Ahlulbayt. Right? And then he also says that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking to the people who are the polytheists, or who are the unbelievers, or who are the hypocrites, and the audience is that, then the first people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking to are our enemies. Right? So now book becomes the most authentic way of you having to know what tawalla is and having to know what tabarra is. It's the most authentic way to know what characteristics are there that we're supposed to go close to, right? Or the shan or fazail of Ahlulbayt, the most authentic, right? And what we need to do to aspire to get to those. Of course we can't get to those levels, but at least we should look a little bit like those levels. No one can reach there, but at least we should look a little bit like. For example, if I was to tell you, some of you have pen and paper, draw me. You say, well, I don't know how to draw. Well, if you have pen and paper, you have, even a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, just give it a shot. I'm not saying that you are the best painters and you're going to exactly portray me the way that I am. But when you will try, you will see, okay, maybe the cap you'll get right, maybe my rings, maybe a little bit. And when someone looks at that painting or that sketch, they'll be able to say, okay, it kind of looks like Hassan. Right? This is us. Those are the characteristics described by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of Ahlulbayt. We try our very best with the sketch of those characteristics in our character. And as long as we're trying, there might be some shabahat, some similarity to those characteristics. But if we let go, oh, we are no painters, we are no sketchers, I don't know how to draw, I'm not going to be able to draw the exact same thing, I'm not going to try even, then we won't get it. With me? So if you want to know the characteristics of the enemies of Ahlulbayt, Quran, the 6th Imam says, wherever you see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking to a munafiq, or to a kafir, or to a mushrik, those are the characteristics of our enemies. So therefore we find the character that we're supposed to stay away from. Alright? You didn't think of Quran that way before. Alright? So now, I'm not giving you homework, but if you want to, you can search wherever the Quran is saying, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. And you can go through those verses and see what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying to the people who are believers. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about praise, then it's the praise of Ahlulbayt, and He's giving you characteristics of the people who believe, then those are the characteristics of Ahlulbayt. So one of the surahs we recite all the time is Wal Asr. Inna al-insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa amilu salihat wa tawasaw bil haqq wa tawasaw bis sabr. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is describing whom? The people who believe. Illa alladhina amanu. He's differentiating everyone else. This illa means it's now everyone else is differentiated. So it is only the people who believe, and after they believe, what do? They do amal salih, and they do tawasi of haqq and sabr. Right? These are the characteristics. If you look at Ahlulbayt life, that's what they've done. Ya Abba Saleh, like to the point where they become, right, the father of good deeds. the father of A'mal Salih. That if there's Amal Salih, right? They are the father of it, meaning it emanates from them. It emanates from them. Like a son comes from the father. Right? A son comes from the father, is connected to the father, is a version of the father. Right? So now if a person is performing A'mal Salih, who are they going to look like? The father. Ahlulbayt. You see? So the more A'mal Salih we do, and Amal Salih is something that through the light of the Quran, it's an amal that continues and surpasses time and space. The benefit of it surpasses time and space. It's not an action which is confined in Zaman and Makan. Like for example, the legacy of Imam Khamenei is Amal Salih. His life is Hayat al-Tayyib. Why? Because he's become an inspiration. He's become a symbol. Because of him, so many people have been able to find out what is right and wrong, who's the enemy, who's the friend. With his leadership, people were able to, have to find peace, contentment, right? With me? So when you live a life like that, your actions, they surpass time and space. So people will come after 40 years, after 100 years, they will still have it. And we have it. It's not bound by just a boundary or a border. Alright? Right?
Yes.
Okay, so you can, if you want to, you can do the search that way. Wherever it is, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, or wherever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking to the munafiq, or fasiq, or fajr, or kafir. Because Imam Sadiq said that those are anywhere that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking, is talking about our enemies first. That way we know that this physical fujur, this shirk and this nifaq is of the enemies of Ahlulbayt, therefore we go away from it, and that going away from it is tabarruk. Okay?
Yes.
I think for me this is pretty amazing. If you were to do this, you will find even more things will open up. And the fadail of Ahlulbayt and Hassan, you'll be able to feel it in your heart. Why? Because it's the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if you shape and mold yourself accordingly and you go to the Quran that way, the Quran shapes and molds itself to you. With me? What is the condition to touch the Quran? Taharat. Right? It is only the people who are tahir who can touch the Quran. Right? With me? And it is only the people who are tahir that Quran touches. The ones who are dirty, Quran does not speak to them. Why? Not that Quran doesn't want to speak to them. It's because with their own free will, they have made the fitrat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala dirty. But if the fitrat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not dirty, the effect of the recitation of the Holy Quran on those hearts, you'll find like Christians and Jews and even some people who will call themselves as agnostics or atheists, when they just listen to the vibrational frequency, recitation of the Holy Quran, they start crying. They don't know the meaning, but they'll start crying. And then when we are sitting down and, Dr. is right here, well, his recitation, mashallah, among all of us, is the best. There's no doubt about that. So if I'm saying that, it's correct. Right? So, but when he's reciting, does that have the same effect on us? And we cried, our heart gone, sank, emotions, our faith becoming brighter, feeling more Nurani, increase in our faith. I don't know. Right? So why? It's because Quran will not touch those hearts that are dirty, who have made their fitrat dirty. So that's also an indication if the verses of the Quran is not having effect and you've done wudu, yes, you've done wudu, but that is the minimum condition to do wudu. Some of your hadath, hadath is the spiritual impurity. Some of your hadath is gone, but when you touch it, Quran will only mold and shape itself to the level of purity that you have. It will not do any more. So the condition for Quran to touch someone's heart is that their fitrat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should be pure. So, for example, someone who's a kafir, but his fitrat is pure. Why? Because he doesn't have any animosity for someone. He's got, for example, no jealousy. Right? He doesn't like showing off. Okay? Maybe he's living a simple life. He doesn't have any arrogance. Okay? Maybe he has fairness. He's fair with people. Maybe he doesn't lie. Right? He tries to be honest. Now, all of these things are the indication that the fitrat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this person is alive or is clean. Right? And then in front of that person, you recite the Holy Quran, they will start crying. Even though it doesn't understand. Really? I don't know if you. I have seen it from my own eyes. I've seen even the Messiah of Imam Hussain being narrated to Christians and they are crying. I'll give you one example and we'll move forward. I was in a place reciting. After the majlis, the person came up to me. He goes, Moulana, I want to talk to you. He goes, I want to let you know of my story. Okay? He said, I was in the prison. I was an African American. He said, I was in the prison. I was a hardened criminal. Right? And in the prison, someone told me the history or the story of Hazrat Al-Yasir. Then someone just told me about what happened to Hazrat Al-Yasir. I said, as he told me about Hazrat Al-Yasir, I did not know, but I started crying. He said, I cried that day, probably the most in my life. I cried like a baby, that's his words. And he goes, afterwards I asked this person, why would a 6 month baby, Philistine, would be killed in this manner? In the arms of his father. Why would someone do that? And the reply was because they wanted to stop the grandson of the Holy Prophet from doing his duty. He said, what was his duty? He said he wanted to save Islam. And he said that once I heard that someone would be willing to sacrifice a 6 months baby in the condition that is there. He said, if someone was that much motivated, right, I need to look at Islam. And then I started looking about Islam and I became a Muslim and then I became a Shia. Right? So now, even though he was a hardened criminal, but his heart was still manageable. His fitrat was still manageable. And of course, the miracle of Al-Yasir is that anyone, even the most hardened people, remember, who were in the enemy's side, their hearts broke looking at his condition. And that's why they wanted to cut the tongue off Imam Hassan. So, if Quran is not shaping and molding with us this way, then we have to look at our own self. Alright? And the last word on that is that I mentioned to you that your fasting is the process of tahara, of purification. Then when you fast, you become more pure. And then when you become more pure, if you were to recite or understand Quran, Quran will shape and mold to that purity. How in fasting, there is a body of fast, which we know that you don't eat, you don't drink, and the mubtalat right? So that's the body of fast. But that's not the soul of fast. This body of fasting will purify you still. But to which level? Physical. You'll be detoxed. If you go and look at the benefits of fasting, there are doctors who just specialize in telling people to fast. Right? He's all over the internet, everybody's looking at him, and all he has is one solution: fasting. For what? All of the problems, all of the diseases. Right? Why? Because fasting detoxifies you. Fasting takes out the cells that are dead, and when I start talking about science, you guys go a bit far. So this much, okay? If you were to fast for 3.5 days, I'm much good. I have to say, force of habit. If you were to fast for 3.5 days, but the fourth day or after the 3.5 days of fasting, this is fasting without food, just water, just having water, not for the sake of Allah subhanahu. The 3 days without food, just water, ketones will start, the number would increase and your whole body will go reset. So they say that once your body goes reset, there's a lot of diseases that a person, they go away. Okay. So but this purification is for what? For the body. But the soul of fast is not to do with the mubtalat of fasting. The soul of fast is muraqabah. You know the word muraqabah? Yes? I haven't found a very good translation in English from muraqabah. But the lower ones is just to become aware or be careful or to be conscious. It's not like exactly the translation. Example would be like if you are walking on a tight rope, you know how much you have to balance yourself so that you don't fall. You've seen those people? And now the rope, the tinier the rope is, the tinier the thing that you're walking on, the more balancing act you have to do. Because if even a little bit your attention goes here and there, what happens to the person falls? So muraqabah is like this. In fasting, if you have muraqabah, if you are aware, if you are conscious, if you're trying to balance yourself, that is the soul of fasting. Meaning in your words, in your sight, things you hear, things you think, right? Things that you do. If you become aware of that, that is purification of your mind, of your heart, of your nafs, yeah? Of your fitrat Allah, of that. Okay? Alright? And you're saying to me, that's nice for us to know now that it's only like 3-4 more days left or 5 more days left. You should have told us this. Beginning of my Ramadan. But that's what Imam Ali says, that in my Ramadan some people don't get nothing but the pain and the suffering of the body and the sleepless night, mushakkat, like this hardship, right? So, inshallah that we are now part of that group, and inshallah that fasting, you were muraqib and you did your muraqabah, and if not, it's still not too late. There's a few more fasts left. If you were to do that, you'll feel different, and then go towards the Quran. Then see how it shapes and molds itself to you. With me? Okay, if you can recite the love.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجه.
Yesterday I spoke about that the more insecurities you have, the less faith you have, and the more faith you have, the less insecurities. And I know my homework, we still haven't talked about. You know what I haven't spoken about? Those things that Quran gives you for true happiness. You remember that? And we're not going to talk about it today. There is because when I say faith, it's one of those things that we think we know. This perspective I gave you to look at your insecurities versus faith is a different perspective. There's a short saying of the Imam Ali alayhi salatu salam. And you can find that it's, the number would be 31. It could be 32, but 31. Just look at just the different translations, they make the saying or sermon one number ahead or back. Like if you're looking at Urdu, maybe it'd be 32. If you're looking in English, most of those translations are 31. Okay? In the short sayings, not the sermon. So in the short saying, someone had asked Imam Ali about Iman. What is Iman? And he described what Iman is. And Sayyid Razi, even after bringing, there's quite a lengthy, not really a short saying, like generally short sayings are like 2 sentences. It's almost like a sermon. And Sayyid Razi says that I'm just going to bring this much because if I bring more, then it's going to go, we're going to go away from the reason why I'm compiling, which is natural. So there was even more that Imam had described. So we'll try to go into the explanation of that if you're okay, because Iman is something also that we need to understand. So that when it says Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, we understand that who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. Who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is? Talking.
He's talking about.
So the first, he says, someone asked, and Imam said that faith has 4 pillars. Alhamdulillah, we have 4 pillars here. Again, 4 pillars, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it says that faith has 4 pillars, and then in those 4 pillars there are 4 sharp, like there's parts of each pillar. Alright? So now if you look at this building, the top of the building, those are 4 pillars that are taking care of the weight. Yes, it's sort of distributed that way, it's taking care of the weight. Now, most of the time we are much more people when we are upstairs. There's a lot more weight load upstairs. But nothing happens, we don't fall, everything's okay because of the weight distribution of these pillars. Right? So now when Imam says that it is the sutoon, it is the pillar, that means that if we don't have those pillars, one is that we don't have faith. Second is, if we have those pillars, then depending on how strong these pillars are, is proportionate to the weight that these pillars can have. Ready? Okay, so the first pillar is patience. First stone of faith is sabr. Second is yaqeen, certainty. 2. Third is adl, justice. And 4th is jihad. One, Sabit, Deen, Adl, Jihad. So these are the four. Now let's look at, because these are the stones, these are the pillars of faith. Look at any of the Ahlulbayt. Look at Imam Ali, look at Imam Hassan, look at Imam Hussain. These four things. Sabr, Yaqeen, Adl, and Jihad. You will find these four pillars in the lives of every single Imam. Yes? Now the way that they did the fourth part will differ. The way they did the fourth part, jihad, will differ. But the reason why it differs is because of the Holy Prophet. I'm not sure if you have or if you haven't, but this is from Rasul Kafi. It's a very long tradition. It's a very long hadith, which is at the time when the Holy Prophet was in his last moments of life. So I'll go through very quickly, but this will also answer some of the questions that why did Imam Hassan went through a different way of struggling, a different way of jihad, and why did Imam Hassan went a different way of struggling or jihad. Why did Imam Ali not stand up and did the same thing he would do in the battlefields against the people who came to burn his house, who burned his door and injured Bibi Fatima. You'll be able to understand the differences. The reason why those differences are there is because the Holy Prophet was delivered wasiyat, wills, plan of action, responsibility, and the events of the future. Plan of action, responsibilities, and events of the future. Through Hazrat Jibreel and Hazrat Mikael and the higher up angels of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who delivered these things to the Holy Prophet. And Imam Ali was made as a witness. And the angels were made as a witness. And those wasiyats, or that, whether they were 12 different sealed envelopes or small booklets, or it was a whole book, right? It doesn't matter. But for each Imam, when the Imam was transferred, then they were able to open that seal and look through what the Prophet, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given to the Prophet to deliver it to each Imam, and then from each Imam to another Imam, so that in that, whatever was written, they would have to do the plan of action, they would have to responsibilities and the events that would unfold in the future. And when each Imam would open it, according to that they would live their life. According to that, they will live their life, they will do their responsibilities, they will have the plan of action, they will have the events that are going to unfold. And once they saw that the events that were going to unfold in the future, they're almost unfolded, then they also knew that their time of martyrdom is coming. You mean? So every Imam, and Imam Azman also has that. Now, this book, whether it was physical or whether it was metaphysical, doesn't make a difference. It could be both ways. We have traditions where it says that Imam Ali in his house had a portion in the wall where this book was hidden. And when these people came to the house, one of the traditions says that they were looking for that book. So anyways, it was. So, but you find that all four things were present in each of the Imam. Okay? So, just one more sentence. The reason why Imam Masroon did what they did is because it was an order of Allah. They did not do it, on it was an order from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, delivered to the Prophet and each Imam too. So it wasn't just the vilayat of Imam Ali salam in Hadith, the Holy Prophet announced the vilayat of all of the Imams. It's just that we don't look at the sermon, but if you look at the sermon, you'll find it that all of the Imams, and the vilayat was there, even the Ashab's qualities were there. It takes 1 hour to listen to it or to recite it. 1 hour, the whole khutbah. I made this connection. Okay. So now, these 4 are the pillars of faith. We know sabr, right? We know what sabr is. Yes or no?
Yes.
We have own definition of sabr. What is sabr to us?
We can't do it in Sabr. That's what normal people do.
Continue to consistent.
Yeah, that's basically what I told you. But sabr definition to us is what? Don't do anything.
Yeah.
Right? And if you're sick, you'll get well. So it means what? Can't do anything. Islamic sabr would be different. It's not just waiting for you to get well. You have to do something consistently, persistently. Not just like 1 or 2 days. No, if you want to get well, you're going to have to take the medicine that doctor has prescribed. You're going to have to not eat those foods that have been told for you not to eat. You're going to have to go through all of those things, and that will require persistence and consistency, muqawamat, to be able to do that. Then what about worship? The acceptance of worship. Why is it going to happen? Allah would accept. No, you require sabr in worship. Sabr in worship means that you do consistently, persistently, you show muqawamat, and you take care of the wasaid or the sharait or the conditions of that worship, then definitely that worship is going to be accepted. With me? If you don't do the conditions, to be able to do the conditions, it requires muqawamat, istiqamah, power. So another word for sabr would be power. We take sabr as weakness. बहुत ज़्यादा साबिर इंसान है. Why? Because everyone, right? Everyone deceives him. Everyone frauds him. But he doesn't do anything. He's very sabir. That's not sabr. Sabr means power. It means consistency, persistency. It doesn't mean that no, everyone can walk all over you and deceive you. You need sabr in front of calamities. You need sabr to be able to handle those calamities. Not like, don't do anything. No. Power. In worship, in the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in front of calamities, and you need sabr when it comes to sin. You can't just like, oh, I'm weak. Right? And we say, human being makes mistakes. I'm a human being, I'm not an angel. That's giving excusitis. No, you're not supposed to be that way. Your human being is supposed to be higher than angel. Not that you are not, because I'm not an angel, I make mistakes. No, you are supposed to be higher than angel as a human being. There's no like giving yourself justification for making mistakes. Just because you say that I'm not angel. No, you are supposed to go higher than angel. In the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you need sabr. Alright? Then Imam says that sabr has 4 parts. Shurab is like, in Arabic it's like parts or aspects. More parts. So this pillar, if you were to divide it into 4, yes, you put them together. Those 4 would be the parts of the pillar. Right? Okay. So one of them is shock. What would you translate shock as? Eagerness, desire, motivation, right? Right. Fear, okay? Zohad and tarakko. I know. Fear, shock, we just say in Arabic, it's okay, because a lot of the things we use in Urdu as well. Shock, fear, awe, zohar, and tarakub. Tarakub, I'll explain to you what it means. So Imam says that if someone has shock, who is waiting for heaven, remember it's sabr that we're talking about. Someone who is waiting for heaven, someone who he says that I want to go to heaven, then he says that if he has or she has that, right, Sada Ali Shahawat, it would be easy for that person to let go or stay away from Shahawat, from their lowly desires. Right? Or even not just lowly desires, normal desires. It would be easy for them. Why? Because the person will say, I have this shock, I have this motivation, I want to go to heaven. Well, if I have to, just live a simple life, don't have to use too many means, just because I know that in heaven I will have whatever my heart desires. So I live a simple life. Why? Because this person has strong motivation to go to heaven. Where heaven you get everything your heart desires. One person said to me, Allah, the way the heaven is described, I don't want to go there. I said, what's the because I don't like fruits. Okay. Dates I don't like. Okay. Milk, I'm like lactose intolerant. And honey, I cannot handle such sweet things. So what's the point of me going to heaven? There's really nothing there for me to enjoy. Right? So I said to him, look, the thing is, Allah, this is just description of heaven that was given, which heaven will have all of those. But Allah also says that you will have whatever your heart desires. Whatever your heart desires, you will have that. If your heart desires biryani, you'll have biryani. If your heart desires qeema, you'll have qeema. Whatever your heart desires. It's not just because heaven says fruits and all you have to do is just keep on eating fruits. The milk is, you see, like for the Arabs to get motivated at that time, these were things that would motivate them. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Jannatin Tajri and Tahtim al-Anhar, a lot of the description is like this. But it's anything that your heart desires. You will have the power to say kun, fayakun. It will be when you say to be. No limits. Anything. Right? So if someone has that shock, right, motivation, or is waiting, he can let go of the things in this world easily. Right? It will be very easy. It makes sense or no? Yes? As if I'm a traveler, it's very easy for me not to buy furniture. You don't take me to a store and I say, Allah, I would like to buy the sofa. I feel like really want to buy the sofa. I don't do that. It's very easy for me to go away from the sofa. TV, sofa, I don't know, blenders, so many things. It's very easy for me to let go. Why? Because I know I'm a musafir, I'm a traveler, and when I go home, I have all of that. And maybe some of the better sofas, like the ones that you have here, right? So it's easier for me. I don't get distracted by those things. Why? Because I'm a traveler. But for you, it becomes distraction. Yes? Because we don't have that mindset. But if you think this is not your home, you're just traveling for a little while in New Zealand, right? You're not really a citizen of New Zealand. You're just there as traveling for 10 years, 15 years. And then one day you're gonna go home, and when you go home, you're gonna have a lot more than what New Zealand can offer. It'll be very easy for you to let go of a lot of things that you desire or you want. Oh yeah? So what? And we're almost out of time. So inshallah, tomorrow we can go a little bit in this. Huh? Yeah, the remaining three just for the part of sub, because it's all already like 5 to 11 now. So inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the opportunity to really want heaven. To really want heaven. And if we really want heaven, then it should be the effect that it should be easier for us to let go of a lot of the things that we desire. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep our Imam in a safe place. May his distorted and disturbed heart find some peace. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep him safe and that we can see him within our lifespan.